You know that specific feeling? It's like a cold shiver right down the spine. You're scrolling, you see a headline about some new AI model, and for just a split second, you freeze.
It's the apex predator response.
Exactly. It's not just, oh, cool, a new chatbot. It's this sinking, visceral feeling that we might be staring at something that isn't just a tool. It feels like a predator.
And not a tiger in the jungle.
No, a predator that's coming for your career, my career, I mean, everyone's career.
Right. It's the feeling that the thing we're building is smarter than us, it's faster, and, crucially, it doesn't need to sleep. It's the existential dread of the modern age.
And if you're listening to this, you're probably not just worried about humanity in some abstract sense. You're worried about you.
Your mortgage. Your kids.
Yeah, your degree. You're asking, where do I fit in? Are we all just going to be sitting around while the robots do all the work?
Or worse, are we going to be starving while they do the work?
Well, that is the big question. And to answer that, we are doing a deep dive today into a really fascinating and frankly, surprisingly optimistic TED Talk by Vlad Tenev.
And the title is blunt. AI is coming for your job. Now what?
It really is.
And Tenev is a great guide here because he isn't just some tech pundit. He's the CEO of Robinhood, sure, but by training, he's a mathematician. His talk doesn't try to sugarcoat the disruption at all.
No, he leans right into it. He brings up this concept he calls the job singularity, which I have to say sounds like a sci-fi horror movie.
It does sound a little ominous, doesn't it?
But our mission for this deep dive is to unpack that. We're going to look at why the fear is valid, he admits it is, but also why, if we actually look at the historical data, the future of work might look a lot like what we'd call leisure today.
And that's the core idea, right? To move from that initial panic to a more rational look at the patterns, to distinguish between, an end of history scenario and a transformation, which is what we've seen happen again and again.
Okay, so let's rewind. Tenev starts his talk by taking us back to a personal moment. He's 20 years old at Stanford, graduating with a degree in pure mathematics.
And he admits nobody ever told him, hey, Vlad, just so you know, employers aren't exactly lining up for pure math majors.
It's a painfully relatable spot for a lot of 20-somethings, I think. You pick a path because you love it, and then reality hits. So to buy himself some time, he does the classic move.
He heads to UCLA for a PhD program.
The eternal refuge of the uncertain student. Grad school.
Exactly. But the timing, it could not have been worse.
Oh, right, because we're talking about 2008.
We are. His first month in grad school is when Lehman Brothers collapses, the global financial crisis.
Yeah.
He describes the atmosphere as just pure malaise.
I remember that time. It was so heavy.
It was. He talks about friends who thought they had safe careers lined up, literally packing up their cubicles. People were genuinely afraid of a new depression.
But, and this is the key twist in his story, right in the middle of all that doom, something else happened in 2008. Something that seemed small, but, changed everything.
The iPhone App Store released its SDK.
The software development kit.
Right. For anyone who isn't a tech head, an SDK is basically the instruction manual. It's the toolbox for building apps.
And Tenev describes staying up all night reading that manual. While the news is screaming about the end of the world, he sees this as a leveled playing field.
It was this source of technological optimism. The economy was crashing, but the technology was the lifeboat. You didn't need a factory. You didn't need a loan from a bank that was going under.
You just needed a laptop and this SDK.
So that's the contrast. In 2008, the economy was the monster, and the tech was the sword you used to fight it.
But Tenev says today's 20-year-olds are feeling that same fear, but the script has completely flipped.
Precisely. Today, the technology AI, it isn't the antidote to the fear. It is the source of the fear.
They're asking, will humans even be writing software in 10 years? Will my degree be worth anything?
Tenev has this really great line about why it feels different. He says, AI is the first tool we've built that is capable of leaving the toolbox.
That is a haunting image.
It really is. A hammer just sits there.
Right.
But AI, it feels like it has agency. We just don't know its limits.
And Tenev's perspective here is shaped by his math background. He grew up thinking math was the pinnacle of intellect, the hardest thing a brain can do.
So his logic is, okay, if we build an AI that is superhuman at math,
then it becomes superhuman at everything. If it can conquer the peak of the mountain, it can definitely walk through the valleys.
And that leads to his central question. What do we do in a world where the vast majority of today's jobs are just gone? Not just shifted, but done better by a machine.
It feels like hitting a wall.
It does. But to answer that, Tenev decides to audit history. And he takes us all the way back, like way back.
We're going back to the caves.
We are. This is where the rational analysis kicks in. Back in the Paleolithic era, what were the jobs?
A hunter, gatherer, maybe guy who sharpens rocks.
Toolmaker, yeah, a very limited scope. And those jobs are gone. You don't see many professional gatherers on LinkedIn. But did everyone just stop working?
No, we just started doing different stuff.
The jobs didn't disappear, they subdivided. Then comes the Neolithic Revolution. We figure out farming. Tenet points out this was a massive disruption.
But instead of ending work, it just allowed us to spend less time on pure survival.
This is the key insight. Efficiency creates capacity. Because we weren't chasing gazelles all day, we had time. Suddenly you have artisans, weavers, potters, you have the creation of culture as a job sector.
And look at the stats today. Farmers in the U.S. make up less than 2% of the workforce. If you told someone from 1800 that 98% of people wouldn't be farming,
They'd assume we all starve to death. They wouldn't be able to imagine what the other 98% of us are doing.
you talk into a microphone for a living, and that feeds your family.
It would sound absurd.
But my favorite part of this is the story about his great-grandfather in Bulgaria. So legend has it, he was the first person in his village to see a car.
And what was his reaction?
He ran back to the village screaming, "There's a dragon out in the fields."
A dragon?
A literal dragon. He couldn't process it. It was big. It roared. Smoke came out the back. It had to be a monster.
That is such a perfect metaphor for AI right now. We see the smoke, we hear the roar, and we think, dragon.
But it gets better. His son, Tenev's grandfather, was also a farmer. But then his son, Tenev's dad, he moves to the city and becomes a professor of tourism.
I love that job title, Professor of Tourism.
Right. But Tenev's point is that a professor of tourism is a job the dragon-fearing great-grandfather could never have even imagined. It just wouldn't compute. You teach people how to go on vacation.
You teach people how to not work.
Exactly. To a subsistence farmer, that's not a job. It's nonsense.
And that's the crux of it. We're often the great-grandfather staring at the car, we see a dragon, but our grandkids just see a commute.
He even brings up our last names to prove this. Potter, Butler, Smith.
Or Fletcher.
Yes. So Tenev asks the audience, does anyone know what a Fletcher is? And nobody really knows except his son. Why?
Minecraft.
Because of Minecraft. His son says, "Dad, a Fletcher is someone who makes arrows." Tenev just says, everything old is new again.
But the deeper point there is that job disruption is an essential quality of human evolution. We focus on the loss. Oh no, the Fletchers are out of work. But we forget the gain. We actually want work to disappear.
Wait, unpack that for me. Why do we want work to disappear?
We want the drudgery to disappear, the struggle. When the work part disappears, it means we're increasing the dollars earned per hour of human effort. We're getting more efficient.
So more output for less suffering.
Exactly. And that efficiency creates a surplus of money and time, which creates a market for new things, for innovations. We don't mourn the job of water carrier because we have plumbing.
That job loss was a massive gain in quality of life.
Right.
So, okay, jobs change. But the counter-argument is that AI is different, it's faster, it's smarter. Tenev calls this the job singularity. This isn't just a shift, it's an explosion.
Right. There's this fear of an intelligence explosion. But Tenev counters that with data showing we're on a curve of accelerating job creation. He predicts a Cambrian explosion of new job families.
And the way this happens is fascinating. He says AI gives every single individual a world-class staff.
This is the part that gets me really excited. Think about what that means. In the past, to build $1 billion company, what did you need?
An army. You needed hundreds of employees, HR, legal, accounting.
A whole infrastructure.
And Tenev predicts the rise of the single-person unicorn.
$1 billion company run by one person.
It sounds insane.
It does today. But think about it. If AI can handle logistics, write the boilerplate code, manage the payroll, then what's left for you to do?
You just provide the vision. Your creativity becomes the only bottleneck.
Exactly.
Yep.
It democratizes the ability to build massive things. You don't need venture capital to hire 50 people. You just need the idea and the AI staff.
But here's where it gets really trippy, and this is the part I've been chewing on. Tenev suggests that these future jobs, they won't look like work to us.
This is the leisure paradox, and it's vital to get this if you want to get over the fear. We have a very rigid idea of what work looks like.
He uses the example of a factory worker from 1920. Imagine taking a guy from a steel mill and showing him a modern podcast bro.
Or a professional gamer. Or an Instagram travel influencer.
To the steel worker, that's not a job. That's just playing. He'd say, get a real job.
Tenev says, we take our jobs very seriously, But if you took someone from the 20th century, they would think that all of the predictions around technological unemployment came true.
That is a great point. They'd look at us and say, oh, the machines took over, so now these humans just sit around talking and playing video games.
They wouldn't realize that is the economy. That value is being created.
And his projection is that we will feel the same way about our defendants. We'll look at their lives, supported by AI, and we'll say, they're just playing.
But that will be the economy. Because as survival needs get met faster, the economy shifts to meaning needs. Entertainment, connection, experience.
So that brings us back to the fear. Because it's still scary to lose the job I have now.
And Tenev doesn't dismiss that. I think that's important. He validates it as a survival mechanism. Being hypervigilant about threats is what makes us human.
If our ancestors weren't afraid of the tiger, they got eaten.
Exactly. Paranoia was a survival trait. But he warns against letting that fear give us bad advice.
He shares this great anecdote about bad advice in the 90s. His teachers told him not to become a computer programmer.
Can you imagine telling a kid in the 90s not to learn to code?
It sounds ridiculous now, but their logic was all those jobs are going to get shipped to China.
Which was the common wisdom back then. Globalization was the apex predator of the 90s. But the bigger example he gives is chess.
Right, 1997. Deep Blue versus Garry Kasparov.
This was a pivotal moment. The first time AI succeeded in what Tenev calls a solely human intellectual affair. When Kasparov lost, the headline was basically, humanity is done.
People thought, that's it, chess is over. Why would anyone bother playing if a computer is better?
And what actually happened?
The chess industry is booming. It's bigger now than it has ever been.
We didn't stop playing just because the machine got better. We used the machine to get better at playing.
That's the takeaway, isn't it? Humanity has this track record of providing itself with meaning.
Tenev puts it beautifully. He says, a humanity capable of building super-intelligent AI is also creative enough to navigate the disruption. We aren't just passive victims of this tech. We are the architects of it.
So let's bring this all together. We started with the fear of the job singularity as an endpoint. But he's arguing it's actually a beginning, a transition to a world where we all have a world-class assistant.
It will be a painful transition. We shouldn't gloss over that. Jobs will disappear, like the Fletcher. But if history is our guide, they'll be replaced by a Cambrian explosion of new roles we can't even name yet.
Just like the great-grandfather couldn't name the professor of tourism.
Exactly.
It's about shifting your perspective from AI is replacing me to AI is my staff.
And understanding that what you might consider a hobby today could be the seed of that single-person unicorn tomorrow.
Which brings me to the thought I want to leave everyone with. Tenev says future jobs will look like leisure to us, so ask yourself this. What are you doing right now that you consider just playing?
What's the thing you do on the weekends?
Yeah, the thing where you think, man, I wish I could just do this, but you dismiss it as not real work. Maybe it's curating obscure history facts or designing sneakers or, I don't know, competitive gardening.
Because in the job singularity, when the AI handles the boring stuff, that play might be the most valuable thing you have. It might be your future job title.
Exactly. Don't let the fear of the dragon keep you from seeing the car. Stay curious and maybe start treating that hobby a little more seriously. Thanks for diving in with us.
See you next time.